and have excelled in their own journeys as a professional. So to begin with, I would like to introduce Ninad sir. He has been working as an operations a professional for about 13 years, and he has worked in the fields of supply chain, business development, business excellence. Along with that, he has also provided solutions for transportation, which has actually helped in providing faster and efficient solution for to provide a clear solution to the problems of transportation. Along with that, I would like to introduce Ms. Surekha. She has been working as an HR for about 8 years. She has worked in various walks of HR like talent acquisition, onboarding, rewards and recognition. And after which she had worked as a consultant. So she helped certain organizations help out and plan a long-term change management plan. And now, her latest venture would be she has started her own company. It's been about 2 months or so. So congratulations on that part in the first place. So I would like to hand over to Tasmia, and she'll be introducing the remaining two panel members. Thank you.
I would like to introduce Namrata ma'am first. Namrata ma'am is a media professional with 10 years of experience in media marketing and strategy planning. She has a 360-degree media planning experience across different media vehicles like TV, print media, radio, digital experiential marketing, etc. With master's degree in marketing, she is currently leading the media strategy for Nestle Business in Malaysia as a strategy director with Publicis Group. She has worked with top agencies across different categories which include FMCG sector, pharma sector, BFSI, auto sector, etc. In her tenure, while working with Mondelez, she has represented India for for region office in Singapore. She has won many awards, and she has won the Best Strategy Planner Award at Carrot. I would now like to introduce Nachiket sir. Nachiket sir is the VP in Financial Advisory Practice of RBSA. He is mainly involved in valuation and consulting. He has experience of more than 10 years, and he has a graduate degree in engineering and a postgraduate degree of Masters in Business Administration specializing in finance. Over the years, in valuation, he has been involved in various sectors like NBFC, financial sector, pharma sector, steel, mining, and manufacturing. His clients include MNCs, PSUs, and major Indian companies. He has undertaken valuations under insolvency and bankruptcy code. He has led teams for various domestic and overseas assignments in RBSI. On the behalf of Alkesh Ganesh Vidya Institute, welcome you all. Now I would like our chairperson, Dr. Smita Shukla ma'am, to say a few words.
Thank you, Tasmia. To begin with, I'd like to congratulate the placement cell and placement officer, Ms. Kavita Mishra, for coming out with one more webinar. And as she states, international webinar, because the participants as well as the panel members are not just located in India, but also beyond the geographical boundaries of India. So my congratulations specifically for the placement cell, because this indicates their consistency and hard work in matching up with whatever difficult scenarios we are facing during lockdown. They have continued the activity of placements and capacity building for the students, which are students not just of this institution, but also institutions which are spread across India. So my congratulations to the entire team. And I like to welcome my alumni members, 4 members who are there. Before I start with their names, I like to say that we are extremely proud of all of you, the achievements you have made in life, the positions you have attained, the growth you have achieved in life. We are proud of you. And whenever you come and connect with us, every time when you do that, I believe a lot of value addition happens, not just for the institution, but also for the students and faculty. So I welcome, on that note, I welcome Nachiket Kadu, who is Vice President Financial Advisory, RBSA, Ms. Namrata Roy, Strategy Director, Zenith Media, Ninant Tharwal, who is Director Supply Chain, Hard Rock Trading Services, and Surekha Putran, who is co-founder the Prime Factor. So when I read out the designation, that was with a specific intent, because I wanted to again highlight the achievements of our alumni, and I hope that whatever interaction which will happen today on the theme will be value addition for all the participants, including us who are faculty members, and feel very proud of whenever I listen to the life journeys and achievements of our alumni. So welcome you all, and I look forward to the deliberation which will happen now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was very encouraging, absolutely motivating. that is keeping us going, actually. So thanks for that.
Yeah, best wishes to all of you. Yeah.
And thank you for making us feel so nice about ourselves.
I would now request Kavita ma'am to take over the meeting, please.
Thank you so much, Tasmia and Rahul, for being such a good host and managing everything in the background, because it is not possible without the support of placement committee to work. And I think Namrata and Nachiket knows about it in a better way. So I'm very proud, not just saying that, okay, we have alumni webinar. I'm also proud to say that I have my placements also today to join hands with me to make me feel very proud and privileged to talk to all of you and run this today's panel discussion. But before I start the session, so the format is like that we have framed some questions which we are going to put before you. And accordingly, we will take your opinion, comments, and observations. And simultaneously, we will also parallelly take the questions of the respective participants, what they are taking away from our today's session. So already your introduction and everything have been taken place. So now I am moving from formalities to discussion. Okay, so I always say that avsar se avsar tak. So my all these alumni who have done, who have taken an opportunity to not be an officer like me, but definitely they have become the director, vice president, founder, and the senior professionals of their organizations. So my specific questions, opening up the today's panel discussions, I would like to put one, very general specific questions to all the panel members, that according to you, what do you see any major changes in B School campus placement with reference to global scenarios? Please let us know in context of your industry, because all four of you are representing finance, marketing, HR, and operations from different industries. So I thought it is very good for me to ask you a very general questions related with your industry. We will start with finance, because this is how we always start the session. So I think Nachiket is going to be our opening batsman. Before that, I request everybody to kindly mute yourself so that we should be able to speak, we should be able to listen our speaker in a better way. Yes, Nachiket, over to you.
Yeah. So first and foremost, thank you everyone for having us here. Just how things have panned out in last couple of months. Things were actually turning out good overall for the economy, for everybody per se, especially for the for alumni of our or for the students of our institute. That much I could proudly say, the way our institute was getting coverage and all. However, there's an industry-wide scenario that has changed now. So over a period of time, especially in terms of finance per se, what was changing was there was a line earlier. There was a line between CAs or MBAs. However, things have that line has started blurring, and that has helped us, and that has brought competition also. But competition always gets best out of people who can give that. So things have changed a lot in terms of the competition in the market, but that has also brought the best out of people, best out of who can give into the industry. Now, in terms of placement school scenario, what I thought or what I see in this is that yes, companies are were obviously going to the market for getting the good talent. But what was happening was earlier there were far and few colleges who were all those IIMs, A, B, C. That was one thing that, and they're still there. They're one of the best institutes. But companies are also more open to as things progresses. They were more open to hiring people from other colleges also.
Okay.
So things were changing. I don't know now how, due to this COVID, things are going to change later. Even we in industry are slightly clueless about how things industry per se is going to move. But we are keeping our fingers crossed. We are hoping that there will be a U curve and recovery will happen fast. And we are seeing some traction in last 1 month or so. I have been going to office daily, and we are seeing some traction in terms of how the things are recovering. So there is movement, definitely movement. So I would say that we should not lose hopes. In this scenario also, we should not lose hopes. And I definitely feel that over a period of time, things would change. Maybe not immediately, but next 6 months to a year, things would definitely change.
Okay. Namrata, coming to you, what's your view on this general question?
Yeah, so in terms of placement, I totally agree to what Nachiket is saying, that while, of course, right now the markets are very difficult, but there are a few markets which are picking up, and it will bounce back pretty much because there are a lot of critical positions that are currently, not getting filled up. There are recruitment freeze happening. So not just at the starting level, but also at different levels, people are facing an issue to, get jobs or placements and things like that. So I think the best way that we can utilize this time is to, build up on our skills, and that would probably help us to get that one step ahead. And, as soon as the market open up, you get the first opportunity rather than someone else. Because as I say that the markets will open up, so will the number of people applying for one particular position will also go up, because there's going to be a lag. So the markets like Vietnam and Indonesia and Malaysia also, for that matter, has started opening up quite a bit. So because of which, what has happened is, we've started recruiting right now, but we've been very, very selective in which positions to close first. So it will definitely see that kind of spike again, but it's going to take time. And meanwhile, we need to ensure that we build up on our own skills so as to ensure that we are much more than what we are just doing currently.
Yes, Surekha.
I think from an HR perspective, unfortunately, HR has been amongst those first departments where it is like the first to be impacted by the cyclicity of the economy. So when there is a downturn, it is like, why do you want to hire people? Why do you want to train people? I mean, obviously there is no need because you're trying to save money. And unfortunately, HR is known as the department that spends. And of course, the ROI comes after a year or year and a half. So this is a time when I feel that we need skills that are quickly transferable. So if somebody is kind of into recruitment, what more can you do beyond recruitment? Because right now, all people really want is payroll and compliance. I mean, give salaries and make sure that the company is legally adhering to law. So what do you do at that time? But at the same time, things like strategic initiatives, because when the COVID situation is over, I mean, it's going to be, people keep saying it's a new normal, and it is so cliched, but it is going to be a new normal, and the new normal is going to be skills. And so if I have one skill, I will need 5 because I don't know what those other 4 might be. So yeah, we are all in a kind of a flux, and Amrita is right. Like, I think the best example is digital marketing. It's just picked up. I mean, these guys are making money. Like Canva is making money. Who knew?
Right.
So yeah.
Yes, Ninad, from operations perspective and your industry.
I feel the operations. I always think operations is always the first department to get affected during such recessions. And like in this pandemic, also operations will be hurt very badly. But there are a lot of chances because as the government is also trying to speed up the economy, their missions like Atmanirbhar or Magnetic Maharashtra. They are trying to pull as many companies to invest in India. So with this perspective, I see first like after the COVID closure, after the pandemic is over, maybe first 5 to 6 months we can say, but there will be some downturn. But after the 6 months, we will be definitely seeing a change, positive change. So I say the all people should have that kind of patience, and things will definitely turn out to be good. Maybe after 5 to 6 months,
Right.
especially in operations department, operations faculty, there will be lot of activity, and operations is a department which is correlated with all other, which coordinates with all other departments. It helps to marketing. It is closely connected to finance also. It is closely connected to manpower management also. So I guess it is closely connected to all the departments. So whenever such kind of crisis comes, operations is always badly hit. But I think I'm saying right now the from placements point of view, maybe we can expect some downtime for another 6 months. So students should have some patience, and they should groom themselves for uh, with some other knowledge, with some other kind of certifications. So they should build up their skills, and then maybe 5 to 6 months later, they'll be really having good turn. So I feel this downturn will be for short term only. Another 5 to 6 months, the things will be normal.
Yeah, very correct. So, leading to this point, Ninad, when I was going through your details and your resume, as you said very correctly, that operation is such a specialization which is a very versatile. And in fact, while going through your resume, I have also seen that you are the most versatile, experienced person. You worked with SCM, business development, business excellence management, business operations, MIS, and budgeting, market research, etc. So I think it's very amazing. Basically, in my last 12 years career, operations students always says we want to make our career either in SCM or e-commerce, etc. But you have done a very versatile kind of an exploration in terms of your career. So I want to know from your end that what kind of suggestions would you like to give to current operation students, and what important point they should understand to gain a sustainable competitive advantage in the market? How a B school placement cell specifically to work to break their stereotype mindset in terms of their specific specialization perspective?
I would say that's the beauty of this operations field, which lets you work in several different departments, which lets you work with different departments. Like you get gel with marketing, you get gel with finance, and everyone. So that's the real beauty of operations. And like we say, for students, for upcoming students, they should have some patience, and during this time, because nowadays only the degree is not enough. We should be well versed with the current technologies going up in market. So we should be well aware of that. The students should get skilled themselves with this kind of technology. Like I say, supply chain is a field which is there in everything. Maybe production industry, maybe in the service industry. Supply chain is everywhere. So supply chain there, and now because of the pandemic, there will be some kind of downturn. But because of this, lot of companies might go for cost cutting. For if they employ cost cutting, there will be a lot of manpower cutting also, and at the same time they'll go for technology upgradation. So we can expect some kind of supply chain automation. There are a lot of tools coming up in the industry for supply chain automation. So students should keep tracking these kind of technologies, these kind of things, and they should be they should update themselves with these kind of tools. They should read articles about such kind of, and they should upgrade themselves with this kind of supply chain automation skills. Or maybe you can say at the same time, now the companies will not hire much people, but companies might go on detailed cost analysis. That's where the role of business analyst comes. So people should students should go for this kind of business analytical tools which uh, which are available. Various business analytical tools like Tableau or other software. They should at the same time they should try to learn these kind of tools. And this because these will be the trends expected in the industry, because many of the companies might be going for cost cutting, and to cut the cost they should be first knowing the areas where they can cut the cost. So detailed cost analysis will be definitely there, for which a business analyst can definitely help them out. So I
Right.
guess the students from operation, they should try to focus on supply chain automation, like upcoming trends in supply chain, or at the same time the business analytical tools. They should try to focus on it, which will help them in future.
Yeah. So pertaining to, in fact, your question, Smita madam has also put her question in the chat box, wherein madam wants to know whether SCM has become very important both in the B2B as well as B2C space. So e-commerce has also gained new traction. So what is your opinion on it? And already, I think you have told us about what competencies students should have in regards to market ready. So can you just take that questions also in your talk?
Yeah, just a minute. Let me go through the question. Absolutely. As the ma'am said, supply chain is more getting more importance in both B2B and B2C space. And at the same time, e-commerce is also getting more importance. And I would say e-commerce is a part of supply chain, because there is a lot of supply chain involved in e-commerce also. For a company to establish e-commerce business, also they need to have good logistics. They even need to have good back-end processing. When logistic comes in picture, it brings warehousing and all the supply chain factors. So supply chain is very well gelled into e-commerce. So I guess these kind of, and uh, as I said, the supply chain automation. So many companies having their own warehouses. They might try to warehouse designing optimization, wherein they can control their cost with and having all the companies might try to bear as least inventory, but of course not compromising their business, but bare minimum inventory. So all these kind of things the companies will be adopting, and
Great.
to understand this thing, to let the company know the inventory tracking, and how much they should be without compromising their business. So all this to for companies to know, they'll definitely need good operations manager. So
Wonderful.
so I can see a good future for operation manager. Only for they should have some patience, and they should keep on upgrading themselves with these kind of skills.
Yes, very important points which you have highlighted, Ninad. Sureka, I will come to you because I was just going through with your profile, and very wonderfully, I mean, you have explored your journey of decades. So since, though you passed your MBA in 2010, but you were working since 2005. So I believe that you have more years of experience than me. So around 15 years of work experience Sureka has as an HR administrative, senior executive HRD, OD consultant, and now she's the co-founder of OD firm. So since beginning, how were you sure about it that you want to work only in HR? Because your all the experiences are related with HR. You founded even an HR company also. I mean, amazing. And pertaining to these questions, what parameters would you like an individual to explore their specialization selection? Sureka.
Okay. So yes, while I was in college, I knew I wanted to get into HR. I think it was initially it started off more like this fascination. I actually thought that HR was a very glamorous job where people just sit, take interviews, and tell me something about yourself. I thought it was very glamorous. I got into it thinking it was very glamorous. I only ended up slogging a lot, and that whole glamorous picture was out of my head, I think, in a month of it. But I was loving HR. I was loving, I kind of realized very early on that HR was actually a business partner. Today it's become a very glamorous word where we say HR business partner. But HR is genuinely a business partner, because when the economy is doing very well, you need HR to quickly hire people, quickly train people, quickly make them, useful in the company. And of course, in the downturn, you still need HR to ask these people to leave nicely. Either or, you can't do without this company. And of course, how does the salary come? That's a baseline of what HR does. But having spent all that time, I realized that OD was my true calling. I wanted to be a real change maker in the company. I really wanted to make a difference, and that is what OD actually does. You do change interventions. Parameters. You have to be really, really ready to learn on the job and quickly. It cannot be that I can only do this or I can only do that. You have to be ready to do whatever that it takes to get what you want. And whether it means quickly shifting job roles, asking for work. That was my major way of getting things done. I was shameless. When I was doing X, I would be like, I want to do Y. Can you let me do Y? When I started doing Y, I was like, okay, I want to do this. Will you let me do this? I was shamelessly asking for job roles. And I think beyond technical competencies, which are very important, it is very important for you to understand how HR works. More important to know how business works. I mean, what kind of an HR are you if you don't know how business works, if you don't know how finance works, if you don't know how marketing works? Where does the money come from in your company? What does, how are we in the market itself? Beyond that, I think the ability to ask, the ability to show people that you are capable, and of course, then do that job, like not just ask, but like, show that you are capable, and the ability to constantly learn, like not just on the job, but go do certifications, get a mentor. Ask people that you look up to, will you mentor me? And there are so many people who will be more than happy to mentor me. And I do that even today. Like if I find someone on LinkedIn and I'm like super impressed with the profile, I reach out to the person and say, please mentor me. I think being shameless was one of my keys. And I think I'm just admitting it. Like I wanted something, I got it because I asked for it.
Okay, Surekha, one more point which I want to highlight before all the participants, that in spite of being a very hardcore professional, Surekha is also a social connect person. I was reading about her work in Teach India and Sikkim Himalayan Academy. So and she has summarized her all the work in 2 terms, that is resilience and resourcefulness. So just highlight that point also, Surekha, that how nowadays we all talk about campus to corporate, but I think you were the one who talked about campus to communities also. So can you just tell us in a brief that how these things happened and how you became an entrepreneur, whether it was a conscious decision or you became an entrepreneur after getting your resilience and resourcefulness working in these 2 areas? Yeah.
I think being an entrepreneur was a very, very conscious decision. And of course, having then been a part of Teach India, teaching at Ladakh, teaching at Sikkim, I realized that I wanted to do something where I had the luxury to be able to pursue achievements beyond my job. And so, yes, it was very conscious, and thankfully it has happened at a fantastic time, because right now, what else? I mean, what else can we be doing? This is the time when we're actually shaping people to do something so much more than what they were doing. I also felt we were actually kind of in such a nice state because we all had great jobs. And it is sad that it has happened in such a way that, people are losing jobs. But if I keep that aside, it is an opportunity for a lot of people to upskill, which we thought, like we'll do it someday, but that day is here. It never told us it will be here. Coming to Teach India, and yeah, being resilient and being resourceful. When I started teaching at Teach India, I was teaching people the age of my father. People who went to night school and went to work, like amazing people, but I had to teach them English. I couldn't teach them through a book. So I used to spend hours printing out pictures so that I could make my class interesting. Um, that then happened, in Ladakh. I was teaching little monks. I can't teach them. I can't talk English. I can't talk Hindi. What do I do? I used to hunt for books of pictures of the solar system. And I think that actually went on to become something at my job. Today, if something goes wrong, I'm like, okay, what next? Okay, what next? Let's just get it done. Let's just get going. I feel all of this has taught me such important life skills. But I think beyond all this, the biggest thing is having your family with you so that they can support you in everything that you do. And I think I was very blessed to have a family that supported me like crazy. Like, you're going to Ladakh, okay, but come back safe. You're going to Sikkim, okay, come back safe. And creating that level of I don't know what it is, that level that this is really what I want to do in life. So just be supportive. I will come back alive.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
That's very nice, Surekha. I feel, it's such a nice to have a connect between both of us since so long, and even knowing about your social connect journey from working in corporates and starting your own firm. I think you have given a very important tips to all the participants today. Being shameless, but not in a negative term. You should be shameless when you are in a market and looking for a job. Now, coming to Namrata, you are, basically one thing which I want to tell to all the participants, that these 4 panel members are the real example of following their passion. I know them personally. They were the part of my institute. So I know they really work very hard to chase their dreams and reach the positions where they are. I have so many things to share about Namrata, but here Namrata is here for a specific point. So Namrata, now my question goes to you, that many students aspire to make their career in media, but it's always start with building up as a client executive. So please provide suggestion that what new trends are there in media industry where students can go and make their career.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So basically, I would say that, at a starting point, when you don't really know anything, so just taking a step back and how I kind of started, and then 10 years down the line, what's changed really in the market and in the core field. So when I started off, it was very much like my entire attraction towards advertising and media and so to say Bollywood, and I just wanted to be like in that star and in that entire fancy. But when you actually get in there, you actually get to know that, oh, this is not the thing. You are very much connected, but it's not that fancy and it's not that glamorous, so to say. But one thing is very sure, that when you decide to do a particular you decide to take a particular path, you need to be very sure of what you're doing. You can take a couple of years to figure out within the job role what you want to do, but once you start pursuing something, it's very, very important to start skilling up yourself to a very great extent. So in like you said, people have these inhibitions that, if I start off, it will be a client servicing person, and then where will I'm going to reach, and I don't want to do this postman job of being a client servicing person kind of a thing. But it totally depends on what kind of skills you are made of. If you're someone who wants to approach a particular path, you will do that. Advertising and media are very, very different things. So client servicing is a major part of advertising and creative media, creative section. But media and media planning are completely different, portfolios, wherein it's a lot about data, it's a lot about data research. It starts from data. So you need, and today, 10 years back, I had absolutely no idea there was something called as media planning. मुझे बस इतना पता था, हाँ, media में कुछ करना है, तो advertising में कुछ करना है. So when I did my internship, everything that I have learned about my industry is on the job. The thing is that I love working on it even today. Every single day I get up and I'm happy about what I'm doing. And I do not regret, or I don't have any grudges that "Ye kya kar rahi hu main? Why am I going to office? I don't want." So if you really like your job, you need to kind of, upgrade yourself accordingly. Having said that, when you want to take up a particular field into, say, client servicing is where you lead up to an account planner. So you need to know what you need to do, how you need to go your path. Do you want to be an account planner? Do you want to handle a business on the creative side? Or you want to be a media planner, handle media buys, media buying, planning, digital marketing? What is it that you want to do? You want to go on the brand side, client side? So all these things are something that you need to evaluate. So where do you get this information? You can Google first. So you Google what exactly is your field of interest. Read about it. You don't have to take up courses immediately. You don't have to go and pay up and 6 months course certification. Itna free ka data pada hai on Google. First, just try and utilize all of that. You make sure you're reading a lot. Make sure you're updated with what's happening today in the industry. What is it that you're interested in? But you need to be ready to do everything. Like I said, client servicing, if you want to approach account planning, client servicing is the first thing that you would want to do. So you have to do for that matter. And that is your building block. I want to do media planning. I want to become a media strategist. Data is where I start off from. I shouldn't have a mind block that मुझे data पे काम नहीं करना है. I have not done my MBA marketing to do work on data. I cannot have that kind of attitude. I need to be ready to do anything at any time and learn on the job and network. That's the key word, that's really very essential. Networking I'm sure in other fields also is extremely critical, but for media, marketing, brand management, networking is so, so, so important. That's going to take you from 1 to 5 and 5 to 10 and 10 to 20. If you want to grow multifold, networking is extremely important. And with networking, like, Surekha was mentioning that you need to have a mentor and be open about talking to people that, yes, I want to learn at every stage. Yes, I want to do it. You start from learning from Google in your initial days of your, college life. But as you grow and once you come in the industry, you have to learn from actual industry people. You can go to them. They are your Google, so you keep asking them what happens on the job. Because they are someone who is going to give you first-hand information of what their experience was doing a particular job. So that is very, very critical. Your bookish knowledge will help you. Your MBA will help you somewhere because it's going to improve your personality skills, which is again a very, very key to media industry. You need to be presentable. You need to have those kind of interpersonal skills and ensure that you are very updated and you know people and you kind of interacting and even while being in placement cell, we used to be interacting constantly with people around so as to ensure that we keep in touch and we ensure that people remember us, because you are going out there in market and no one knows you. And why should an HR or a business team take you in against someone else? So you need to show that skill of yours. So yeah, choosing what you want to do, what should be your career path. I'm not saying you should always have a long-term goal, but at least if you have a short-term goal of what you're interested in, then you can get the stepping stone to your path of success.
Great. One thing, in fact, I want to tell that when Namrata was pursuing her MBA, as I mentioned, she was a placecomer. She used to come with her set of data every day. She had 100-page notebook wherein she used to sit herself and making the calls. Nowadays, this kind of quality I'm not seeing in my, I think it's very difficult to see in the placecomers. And finally, I used to ask Namrata, please share with me your media companies. So this is a very opposite trend which we were sharing together. But I am very, very proud, Namrata, to see you as an intern of ONM today as a strategic director of Zenith Media Publicis Group in Malaysia. Now coming to Nachiket here, finance perspective, not finance, but overall perspective in terms of our today's discussion, wherein, Nachiket, today I can see that like Surekha, Namrata's journey full of stories and adventure. So, but Nachiket found his stability in the organization where he is currently working. Nowadays, the millennials believe in job hopping, so they immediately shift from one company to another. But Nachiket, you have maintained your position continuously in one industry since so long, which is, I mean, appreciable and very difficult. So please tell the audience and participants that how it has been possible, and what is the success of you to maintain such long relations with one organization.
So, first thing, like one of the panelists said that you should love what you are doing. Initially, when and this will help all of, I mean, every fresher who wants to get into the industry. I think when me, Surekha, and Namrata started this, we went into a B school in 2008. It was a crash time that time also. So probably we started the career in a similar dilemma. And one thing that I would again advise you is that I think I'm not sure about Namrata and Surekha, but we took up initially anything that is available in terms of job, broadly in the same industry. Maybe this is not what you want, but broadly in the same industry. That is what at least I did. I wanted to be in finance. I took up a job in a company which I know was facing stress and would not have been able to pay me. But it was a corporate finance, which is something that is a more wider specialization of what I'm doing now. So right now, what I'm doing is a more specialization of corporate finance. But that is what I wanted to do. And thankfully, like Surekha said, family was very supportive. So they said, "ठीक है, 2-4 महीना salary नहीं मिलेगा चलेगा, but at least you'll get something." So when we used to do that, I mean, when that company was into an infra company, and during stress times, infra and real estate sectors are the worst hit, and we used to get not paid for like 2 months or something of that sort. But that's how it was. But I like doing that. I got a lot of exposure there. And after that, I went into RBSA. I did a small stint for in a organization which was not even worth mentioning. But then I went into RBSA. Even RBSA, when I went for a job, because this is what I did. I wanted to be in finance. I wanted to be in valuation per se, because this is something that I knew. This is something that was the only thing that I knew practically in finance, and that is what I wanted to do. So I went into RBSA, which was a valuation firm. When I went there, it was not for the actual valuation profile also. The interview was for something else only. But I went there, the person said that you are not fit for this interview. I would rather suggest that you talk to this person, and he will take your interview. That profile will be better suited. And post that, and that is how I came into RBSA. So the journey was very difficult. I mean, well, there is a stability in what I'm doing, but the journey was quite different. I took up that came up during that time, because it was more corporate finance, and which I could mold as going forward, which I could mold that it will be a valuation per se, or I could specialize it and say that I'm also doing a similar job. So I am fit for something in valuation. Again, I'm into a profession which is more dominated by a CA. So, and we are into a consulting firm, which we are consulting. So it's more dominated by CA. I think, and a niche field in Bombay, there will be hardly 150 to 200 finance valuation professionals. So apart from Big Four, Deloitte, or EY, or KPMG, we know actually it's such a small community. We know who is getting promoted or who is moving out from this job and who is going there. So that is how it is. So it is very difficult to get into a job like you suggested, where we are fighting into with people who are CAs, and this is more. The only thing that kept me going is my love for the job. Like Namrata said, you should absolutely love what you are doing. I have been into this. My peers and all are probably more competent than I am. I think I compensate by my knowledge of industry, because I'm into consulting and I'm doing 2, 3, 4, 5 different industry. I compensate by that. I keep reading a lot about industry. I keep watching a lot of educational videos, and sometimes those are random videos which may not be useful right now, but then I know over a period of time somewhere. Sometimes I read about pharma industry, sometimes I read about manufacturing, e-com, or because I know, since I'm into consulting, I know at one time I have to face a client who is in this industry. incidentally, Ninal was talking about supply chain. I have a startup and who is into supply chain, and I was talking to him and what are his value drivers. So I think, like Namrata, in a nutshell, what you should do is, or what everybody has to do when they're fresher is, first, the skill set is very important. And MBA does give that. It helps to bring on the table what the organization needs. So that is also, you should also understand that, what is the need of the organization, what am I bringing it on table for them. When I came into the industry, when I'm competing with a CA, if I'm competing on his strength, that would not have made me any different. My strength was I bring a lot of industry knowledge, not on accounting or a finance knowledge, which over a period of time, obviously 10 years into the industry, it came up. But initially when I started, that was my key, that was something which was my strength, and I played on that. So we should understand, everybody should understand that, this is my strength. I would rather play on my strength than, what I do, what others are doing. That is one thing. I think it is really important for the freshers to initially get into the job and build connects, because once you've started, it may be any job, if you're in the same industry, you'll build a lot of connects, and that will give you at least some opening where you want.
Right.
So build connects in the industry, start with whatever that, because that's my personal journey which I'm saying, and that has helped me. So that'll get you what you want. Also, you need to understand what is kind of now whom your competition is, especially in finance. Even I have seen a lot of CAs now who are moving after doing CAs after 2 years into job, then they move to do an MBA. That they do because they also want a push later. So I think for CA for an MBA professional already, there's a lot of competition there. What you have to do is, you also have to do maybe later go after once you get into a job, CFA or some other kind of specialization, and that will help you a lot when you come into the industry.
Right. So pertaining to this, Nachiket, because our major crowd is related with finance specialization. So which is prompting me to ask you one more question that. Smita ma'am has already mentioned that. So I was just asking that kind of a question to you, that finance is a specialization which has many industries. And I think this is the most affected industry in today's time, though it has many opportunities too. So please tell us that how campus should plan to take finance industries, and for what profile young graduates should expect in current scenario.
So, almost 9 to 10 years I have been into consulting and financial consulting. Since I'm doing, I majorly deal with people in financial, the finance department of companies. Now, in terms of what if the students should understand, they need to get into a financial consulting job, or they want to get into an industry. Financial consulting job, major consulting firms, Deloitte, EY per se, or KPMG, or other big names of those. They are into financial consulting, but they have traditionally come with a CA background. I mean, most partners there are CAs. Somehow there is an affinity towards looking at a CA in terms of consulting, or then they hire people from big B schools also. Having said that, does not mean that we cannot approach them with if you have good experience. Obviously, you can approach them, so that can be done. But these firms are not the only consulting firms which are into the market. There are mid-tier consulting firms. There are small 4, 5, 10 member consulting firms. And if you actually want to do financial consulting, these are the firms which we could target. Now, we should understand what is the kind of consulting that they are giving, and based on that, we'll have to get into that is the skill set that we'll have to provide. So that is in terms of what I'm talking about is consulting. Coming to industry side, if you want to get into industry, M&A roles are a place where you can go, or corporate finance is something that students can aim for. Corporate finance, is one profession is broadly in terms of every industry will change a bit. Financial planning will then it will go into financial planning or budgeting and all that. So that is something that students can aim, and we'll have to start young. To be very honest, we'll have to start at the base. Not necessarily we want to we will get directly a role which is a manager or an assistant manager. We start when I started a management training, and I think we can work our way up. Fortunately, unfortunately, whatever it is, this is how it is. I mean, there are people who come maybe from a better B school who is your boss, but that is how it is, and we should accept the reality.
Right.
But if we want to get into industry, we should, I think what we should as a student right now should understand is what is the skill set that if they want to get into budgeting or something, then they should do a CFA or so all these kind of specialization would be necessary to get into, because that will differentiate them from somebody else.
Right. So fair enough. While talking to all of you, I can see that our chat box are full of many questions and appreciation. So Ninad, for you from Tushar Singh, and he is asking that whether supply chain lag in agriculture sector, is there any supply chain lag in agriculture sector? If I try to solve the supply chain, will the storage problem for food grains will also be solved, as I will be smoothing the supply chain? Okay, I'm trying to connect farmers with both B2B and B2C business model. Yeah, Ninad.
That will be a good model, and of course, there is a good scope of supply chain in case of agriculture industry also, because right now it's been done by several corporates, and they're trying to get all the. We are getting a lot of trends like farm fresh, farm to market, direct selling. So supply chain has a good scope in agriculture field also, and that's in need of the because both at both the end people will benefit. The customer also, supplier also get good rates, whereas when they sell to companies, they might not get those kind of rates, and customer also get good quality material. So it's beneficial to both of them. So supply chain has a good and vast scope in the agriculture field also.
Right. Okay, there is always a debate going on whether employment versus entrepreneurship. So as Surekha has mentioned correctly, that it was her conscious decision. But one attendee wants to know from panel that what is your view on Atmanirbhar Bharat and entrepreneurship? So this is general questions to everyone.
I think there is no right way of this. I mean, whether you want, I think the more important question is the reason. What is your reason? So whether you choose to go to work 9 to 5 or whether you choose to start your own thing, why are you doing this? That is more important. And those reasons cannot be, I don't get along well with my boss, बहुत bore हो रहा है, life में कुछ करना है. These are not valid reasons to be an entrepreneur. If there is something that you really want to do, which your job right now is not giving you that opportunity and something that the market needs, those are valid reasons to, whatever, get into entrepreneurship or do something of your own. So whether it is Atmanirbhar or whether it is, 9 to 5 punching, it is a decision that you need to take. And for that, I think two things are very important. Vision and clarity. Like, what is your vision for life? Like, what is the life that you're building? In my case, I was very sure that I wanted to do something so much more. I mean, I wanted to kind of contribute, and maybe my 9 to 5 job with 15 years in a year would not allow me to do it. So I knew that this is where my life was heading, where one day, the day like I die, I will be a very happy person saying, oh, I did this. And of course, I also did well in my job. So, yes, I know that Atmanirbhar is the new buzzword, but it should buzz you enough in your head where you feel very strongly that, okay, this is what I want to do. But if a job is fulfilling all your requirements, please go ahead and be in that job. Somehow entrepreneurship has become such a fashion where, we feel that being an entrepreneur is so fantastic. You can do whatever you want. I can wake up at 11 o'clock. I can, go out and do whatever I want. I don't have a boss to report to. But, you have to pay yourself. Like a company actually pays you salary. When you're an entrepreneur, you're supposed to generate your own money. So there is no there is no good about one thing and bad about the other thing. So a very conscious decision, according to me, is very important right now. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yes, Namrata, what is your view on it?
Yeah, I just like to add on that bit, because it is very important to understand that what you want in life. Like she very rightly said that, today I just want to do a business, I want to do a startup. I want to get into the new India, make in India, mujhe kuch karna hai. There are a lot of government schemes. I've seen a lot of people even talking ki, the government is giving so and so facilities and so loans, so you can start up easily. Starting up a business may be easy, but sustainability and sustaining that business for a long time is very extremely difficult. When you're at a job, that you get your salary and you have your monthly income coming in and you can survive, with that. But when you're at business, initial few years, I would say, would be only investing into that, your time, your dedication, and it's much more difficult than doing a job. And I can say that because I have a business family. I have seen them, there would be months where there would be no money coming into the house because you have the business is not doing well, and things like this, like say COVID scenario or 2009 when you saw a recession, when you have absolutely no client building up, what do you do? In a job, you will still get your salary. Maybe we're going through pay cuts and things like that now, but you at least have something coming in. So you need to take the right kind of risks, and you need to, it said that, planning without action is futile, and action without planning is fatal. So if you're taking risk, you take the right kind of risk, you be ready for anything and everything coming on board. You cannot be dilly dallying, aaj business kar lete hain, acha nahi jama, chalo apni job kar lete hain, and then you cannot do that because it doesn't work like this. I mean, if you're doing something, be very dedicated. And entrepreneurship is very easy to say, but when you get into it, you have to do your research, your market work. What do you want to get into? What is it that you want? Do you have contacts in, doing that particular business? You have right kind of people guiding you. You have, the right kind of investment that you need. How you're going to do 3 years down the line? Because in job, you may not have a long-term plan, but in a business, I'm sure you need to have some kind of a plan to go with, because you can't just jump into it without ki chalo dekhenge kal kya hoga. That I think is extremely critical for people to first research a lot, mentally, physically be strong enough to get into something like this, have the right kind of support and guidance, and then you take a very very conscious call, like Surekha has done one, but Surekha has also done after for 10 years of experience into the hardcore industry, so she exactly knows what she's doing. So for a fresher getting out of college thinking of doing entrepreneurship, great, but you need to have the right kind of actions that you take, which kind of build that thing for you. Because if you fail, it is no problem in failing, but if you fail, you need to be ready for that failure, so as to then go back to what you were. Probably you might want to go back to doing a job, or you might want to just change your field completely. Right. So failures is very very critical when it comes to entrepreneurship, and that is something which we all need to keep in mind while choosing to do that.
I found this is a very debatable question. Always we may have enough debate wherein we all 3-4 people can one side and Surekha at one side while asking this question, because her decision was a conscious, and many people don't want to be an entrepreneur, they want to be a job kind of a person. After one question, I think which many students are asking, and I really want to ask all 4 of you, wherein nowadays everybody is into digital world and there are lots of certification things are happening. There are lots of edtech companies, you must be knowing about Udemy and other companies who are offering some hour sessions and they are offering certification. So how much weightage will company give such kind of a certification while they exploring their final placement opportunities? Any one of you can answer this, or multiple reply I can expect from all of you.
So if I have to just go for this one first. So in digital marketing, like you said, it's like the new buzzword, so to say. Everybody wants to do digital marketing, and it is true. that digital marketing has become extremely critical. So even within media, digital media is extremely critical now, because as soon as COVID scenario happened, lockdowns happened, the entire traditional media crashed. I mean, TV, there were no new episodes, people were not watching TV. Radio, people were not listening because they were not going out. Billboards, nobody's going out, so who's going to watch your billboard? So the entire traditional media, on which in India we have 70% of media budgets, in the biggest of the companies and the smallest of the companies, absolutely crashed. What worked was digital media. But having said that, and these certifications and courses, you have n number of certifications that are available. Google and Facebook have their own certifications as well, when it comes to these things. And there are multiple colleges offering you, there are these private institutes, online apps, etc. But I would really recommend each one of you to first, understand what your certification is, what you want to do that certification for. So be well researched. You should know in what field you want to do, because digital marketing is like a plethora of things. It's not just one thing. It's like so many things, and one course cannot teach you, a few hours cannot teach you digital marketing. There's a lot. So you need to really first consume all the free data available. Like I always say, Google has a lot already. So just consume all of that first, do your research, and then if you want to do a certification, more than how it's going to benefit your resume or your CV or in front of an organization, you need to see how it's going to affect you for your own skill building. So if you can, whether or not I show, on my resume, I have a certification of 6 months from this thing, for an organization, it may or may not matter so much, but 5 questions that you answer on an interview about a practical knowledge about that particular topic is very, very critical. So understanding that is more important, and what kind of course you want to do first, research, the research on that is, I think, more critical than just jumping into any kind of certification, especially into the media field is what I would say.
Right. I want to know from Ninad as well, because operation students always has such kind of a dilemma. Certification will help or it will not help. So Ninad, what is your view on it? I mean, yeah.
I would say this certification definitely help the students, not as the other certification, because the certification from the professional bodies like EPICS or Novo, some other professional supply chain instrument, or for any kind of professional bodies, those certifications definitely have good values. But at least when I sit on the other side of table, when I hire people, when I take interviews, when we see these kind of certificates, any candidates having this kind of certification, at least we come to know how learning ability this candidate has, what kind of like how he's approach for learning more things. So that makes more difference, apart from the students who are not having this kind of certification. But at least like this kind of pandemic lockdown days, even if some students are trying to get more knowledge by this using this kind of certification or online, so at least it gives the employer idea that this student has got good ability to capture more knowledge, and that will definitely help the student to for their future jobs. So at least from employers and we see like this, we take it like this. Those certifications may not have that kind of value which a professional body certification has, but definitely when we see students from having these kind of certificates, we understand how that student is able to capture more and more things, how he is learning abilities. That's what we see.
Right. So I think students have to make a final call, but we suggest that this try to get some long-term certification rather than doing this short-term certification, because it doesn't have much importance as far as the recruitment comes. Yeah.
I totally agree on this. I think see, it will help you differentiate if you do some sort of certification. But then these have to be not those one-off kind of certification. Smaller courses. You should think of something that is globally recognized, especially in terms of finance, FRM. For if we want to do something in risk or risk management, that is the if that is the job that somebody is looking at. That is the finance portion of somebody is looking at. then FRM is something that they should look at. Or if they want to be some sort of analyst or target or IB or a consulting kind of role, a CFA is something that they should look at. But a CFA certification, although it is an online thing, it is globally recognized, even in US or here, and it will take at least 3 years minimum to complete CFA. Not the success rate of a CFA is 30 to 40%, not more than that. So those certifications are really valuable, and it does differentiate a student when he goes for an interview, even if you're a fresher or not fresher. If you have at least cleared level 2 and you are going to do a level 3 CFA, people will still look up to you and say, okay, there is some difference, because he'll have a lot of knowledge. It's a difficult course to kind of clear. So it does help a lot, but then you should also understand what are the kind of certifications that you're looking at, and would it actually help in your in the field that you want to be.
Right. Okay. So I think we have covered many questions. We have started talking from a startup journey till your personal experience. And while summing up, I have lots of takeaway from today's session. I am very thrilled to see your progress, your achievements. I think one achievement which we have missed while introducing to specifically Namrata, because Namrata has got a very distinguished award by MVIS in 2015, and you were also in the jury panel for the MVIS 2018 for judging multiple media case studies. So why am I specifically mentioning? Because many students are crazy for media, but what to do in media and how to go into that ladder, that is something people should look in your profile, Namrata, and they should learn about it. So can you just tell us what this MVIS award and how, what was your whole experience? Because you went to Dubai to take this award and you presented India also over there.
Yeah, sure. So basically, yes, it is, people do have a lot of inhibitions, and like I said, it looks very glamorous from the outside, and therefore, media becomes quite a role that people want to do. But the thing is, it's not as glamorous when you work. You have a lot of working hours that you need to put in. You're working late nights, and you don't have a 9-to-5 job, and you don't sometimes you don't have weekends that you're going. So it's a lot of effort. So having said that, you need to ensure that whatever you want to get into, you are working towards it. The first thing, when you want to get into media planning through marketing, MBA marketing, what happens is it becomes a very, very broader field. And I remember, we had one subject and one chapter in the whole of 2 years of MBA that taught about media planning. So that was never enough, So for media planning, definitely you need to first identify whether advertising is what you want to get into, media is what you want to get into, and then take the first step towards, if it is media planning, do you have that kind of skill build up for media planning? So theoretical knowledge will not help. You need to ensure that you do some kind of digital marketing course or some kind of knowledge on digital. Like I said, Google and Facebook are the biggest digital platforms today available. They have a lot of courses that they do. You need to kind of build your skill in a particular direction. So if you're advertising, you want to do a copywriting, you want to do something which is very creative, then you start building your skills in that too. MBA is only going to help you develop your personality skills, and it enables you to get somewhere. But specializing, it's a very niche field, it's a very specialized field. So you need to know on the job and be ready to take up anything that comes your way. This company is not that big and it's very small, or it's not that, great. You don't have options. You just learn on the job. And as far as the awards are concerned, yes, I would represent, India at the regional level in Singapore, and then I also got an exposure in the, in the global market, because regional markets sit in Singapore, and that's how I think I've been able to get this job here in Malaysia, because I built my networking from there, and then I was able to kind of approach them, and you keep trying, and you have you know, at like Kavita ma'am said, yes, when I was in placement cell, I used to keep trying. I still keep trying to get a better job than what I'm doing. And so, you know, it just helps you try at every level. It doesn't mean that you've got a job and you're 10 years in the field and ab to kya mil jayega. It's not like that. If you want to get to that next level and if you have, you know, wanting to do something, you should do. And as far as Emmys is concerned, Emmys is one of the most prestigious awards in the media industry. It's like a film fair, you know, that we've been. It's running for so many years now, and it's run by Abby's, which is basically your association, advertising associations, and all of that. So you know, whatever work you do, we are supposed to kind of you know, present it in a way that you know, there are presentations, written presentations, and then there are, you know, you come in under a panel and there is a group discussion, etc. So you need to do a lot of you know, hard work for even the award. So apart from the work, you need to ensure that how you sell yourself, because selling yourself is one key thing, you know, in the pool of media. So sell your work, sell yourself, and then you ensure that how you brand and, you know, bring it in front of the audience and say that this is what I did, like, you know, this is what you've done, and how brand building happens. You know, the brand must be this, but we take it to another level. Same way, you yourself are a brand. So how you kind of, you know, brand yourself becomes extremely critical. So Emmys is one such award that people, you know, literally die for at the end, every year, and they are like, you know, looking forward to get there. So it is aspirational, but at the same time, there is a lot of hard work. You know, getting on the stage and taking that award feels so good, but nobody sees the 2 months of day in and day out work that has gone behind that one night and that one award and that few seconds of happiness. So it takes a lot of effort to get there. So, and you should always keep in mind that anything that is glamorous has a lot of effort going behind it. So you need to be ready for that. I think that's the key.
Thank you so much, Namrata, for sharing such a nice story. I'm very thankful because this is a blend of perfect panel wherein we had Binad and Nachiket with his seasoned experience and being with one particular industry for a long time, and then giving us so much of inputs wherein Namrata and Surekha, they have explored and diversified their career from different companies and with different positions. So I think this was a perfect blend from alumni perspective to understand the current scenario in terms of business school campus placements. I think many of the doubts students must have been able to wipe off. In case they are not, they all four are available on LinkedIn. You may connect them. If they want to connect with you, they will definitely accept your invitation. If they will not, so please don't pester them too much. You may always come back to us. We will put your question before them if we find it very, very relevant. So I'm very happy to host all four of you on behalf of our institute, rather saying my institute, on behalf of our institute. I'm also very thankful to all participants who were here to listen and giving such a nice feedback on the chat box. I can still see that people are still writing about a very nice session and everything. So I really agree that these things have been happened very nicely. And I think the success is not something which you can celebrate alone. Today, even your success is also being celebrated in the presence of Smita ma'am, Patil sir, and other senior faculty from different different colleges. So they asked me, Kavita, we want to see your alumni. I said, Ajao sir, they are the place comers also. So I have few other colleges, senior professionals who have joined us. But before that, I will quickly request Patil sir to please give his inputs for today's session. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Sir, yeah.
It was really great to hear from a lot of these people, and it was quite a nice session. So I can also say that how students can sit for a lecture when people speak. So, but I'm very proud that yes, I could not get up from my seat because I wanted to really hear, and the discussion was very, very nice. And I congratulate all of you. All the panelists are superb. and everybody has different perspectives, and that is why it has made a good blend of all the types of industry or the other personal attributes which are to be taken into account and all those things. I only had one thing, that if in this panel, in this webinar, whoever is there, if he thinks that there is a job which is 9 to 5 job, then he's in a different sort of a. I think Nachiket will agree with me. There is no job also which is 9 to 5 job.
It's true.
So there is a 24/7 job actually. Here also we are at 8:30. We are still there on webinar. So the times are tough, but if you have fire in your belly, you can still do something, which is you keep on doing it. And I think Surekha or Namrata was telling that जो सामने आता है वो करने का सीखो. Whatever is there, you do it. And for that matter, somebody said about doing everything which is coming, and be obsessed with the work which you get. I always tell whatever my students I come across, I'll tell you, बहुत जो job मिल रहा है वो ले लो पहले. Which was actually the Nachiket's that whether you for that moment you like it or not, this is not a time to have a choice. You do good, study well, and whatever comes to you, you take it. And then you have various ways and means of trying to then pursue your passion, if at all it is there, or you do a good job. Doing a good job is also a good passion. So it's a really nice webinar. I must thank Kavita ma'am also and Smita ma'am, and given me opportunity to speak also. And I would like to see all of them again and again, and many new other people also. And I wish all of you a very best luck. And in the COVID-19 situation, I think we need to really put our head down and become more informative and more knowledgeable, because there's a lot of time available to the people. So we should use, everybody should use that to upgrade the skills, which all the 4 panelists have said, that whatever skill you can acquire, you acquire. Whatever certifications you want to acquire, you acquire. When we used to be in school, we used to also take the certification of playing kabaddi. So whether it was useful, not useful, that time it was a proud moment for you, because it may in future will help you. So no knowledge goes waste.
Absolutely.
So try to grab whatever knowledge is available by whatever means, and there are a lot of good means available today. That's all. I don't want to take much more time. Thanks a lot for participation, and I also want a certificate that I have participated in this session.
Everything.
Patel sir.
Ma'am, I'm entitled for it. I have sat for all the 1.5 hours without moving from my seat.
पर आप पूरा ले लो.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And very nice to see all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I will take one more impression, then I will request. Yes, Smita ma'am, you were saying something.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Patel sir, because he has been active, as he stated, throughout there for the session. And to the participants, I want to tell also who Uday Patel sir is. So Uday Patel sir, who spoke there.
Okay, Smita ma'am, kindly unmute yourself, because I think by mistake it is.
Because she's talking good about me, so it has gone out.
Kavita, can we have just a brief introduction from Uday Patel sir, from where he comes from?
Yeah. So everybody knows about Patil sir. I mean, we all know, but audience, we want to tell that sir has a very long association with our institute, not only as a visiting faculty, but as a senior mentor, recruiter, guide, and well-wisher. Apart from this, sir is the director of Keynote, very famous, I think, sir, corporate finance firm. And sir is I think sir has joined our departments when we were not there. Okay, Smita madam has joined back.
Yeah.
So I think Smita madam was specifically wanted to talk about the Keynote Award for merit excellence, which has been started giving to our department under the leadership of Patil sir. So this is a kind of honor which has been given to us by Keynote through the association of Patil sir, and we really honored. I mean, really humbled with
Kavita,
your
can
presence
I
with
say
us.
something, Kavita?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
For the information of all, what we have tried, because I have been associated with the institute for so many years, and I have really have a passion for the students and the young guns. So what we did is that when we also completed 25 years of our company, we thought that we should contribute something. So what we did is we have instituted a keynote award, which is a 25,000 rupees per student, one boy and one girl, who comes first in the first year of FIMNS from the boys category and girls category. And we have instituted it, and we want to keep it lifelong, so that students try to get some sort of inspiration and encouragement. The objective is, and the amount is not important, but what we thought is, for a first year student, it is a sort of an encouragement, and which also may invite some other people also to do something of this nature to the institute, and which will go a long way in developing the institute. Today, how this, because I have been to JBMIMs also for many 2-3 years. Ultimately, how this institute is nothing but the alumni. Today, the General Bajaj Institute is nothing but the alumni, and because the alumni keep contributing in all sort of things, it really brings up the institute. And this ADMI will also come up with the people like you and support of people like you. So that is why one small, you can say, a contribution from our side. We started last year, and after that COVID has come, but still we will continue to do that, because that is not that kind of a problem for us.
Yes.
And I'm really happy for the ADMI students also. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patil sir. I had network issue. I went out. Thank you so much, sir, for being there.
No, not
Thank you, Susan. Yeah. So I'll take the last impression of a day, and after that, officially we will call off our today's webinar with the permission of Smita ma'am. We have Ramesh Yamgar sir. Sir is the Vice President of Patkar College, and I request sir kindly share your impression with us about today's webinar. Yeah.
Thank you, Kavita. It's a great pleasure that you are doing a wonderful job for Alkesh Dinesh Modi Management Institution, and I'm very happy to hear Uday Patil sir also. I think when that Alkesh Dinesh Modi has started its working in the campus, I think that time I used to go there and meet. We used to have the meetings of our union in Alkesh Dinesh Modi. So that time I think I have met you, sir.
Okay.
Patil.
Yeah.
And we used to have a number of meetings there with Thekedat sir and Tapati Mukhopadhyay and Madhuparan, all union activists.
Correct.
And I think again all my old remembrances have just got up by looking at the face of Uday Patil sir. And I think you are just doing a wonderful sessions. I think this is the second session for the placement. I think just before that one session has already over. No?
This is the 8th webinar, but I think yours is a second session with us.
Mine is the second session. Okay.
Yes.
So I think this is a good opportunity for all the students just to hear from the alumni of your own institution. It's a very good and wonderful experience, and I think it is a good takeaway from the good takeaway, and it is inspirational for the present students. As rightly mentioned, that we have to keep on learning, take the help of this lockdown and get more and more certification, not by listening the webinar, but also by doing some courses which will help them in their future. So wish you all the best, and really thank you, Kavita, for giving me an opportunity to give the feedback online. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I think we will keep on going and going when I see Namrata, Nachiket, Ninad and Sudekha. But I think now we will take our chat not here. We have to officially conclude today's webinar. As Patil sir said that it is now 8:30 and we all are sitting since so long. So I request Smita ma'am to kindly allow us to conclude the session and give some final remarks from today's session, ma'am. Okay, I think Shukla ma'am has.
Ma'am, I think she is not here.
I think
No,
on
madam is here.
internet
But,
is an issue.
Smita ma'am is here, but I think she is facing some network issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so with this, we just call off our today's webinar. I request all the participants to kindly fill the feedback form so that we can issue your e-certificate. And in the meantime, you can connect with our today's guest over the LinkedIn, etc. And we will see you in our next webinar, which we are doing on 21st. Again, it is an international webinar, but that is a corporate webinar. We have invited our 5 corporates who are the recruiters also to give you the inputs related with current scenario. So please don't miss the opportunity again. I'll see all of you very soon. Thank you once again, Namrata, Nachiket, Ninad, and Surekha for being with us. And Patil sir, Chandanani sir, and Ramesh sir, and other senior faculty for being with us and encouraging us. Thank you very much. And Smita ma'am, if we can listen, then we can take your final concluding remarks. Otherwise, we will just call off today's day.
Thank you so much, guys, for inviting us, all the faculty members and all the participants for being so patient and so kind to us. I feel really grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, we always go there. Thank you so much, everyone, for having us here. It's all our pleasure. And thank you, ma'am, Kavita ma'am, for keeping all of us intact. Like Sir rightly said, that alumni is everything for B School. I hope we can contribute as much as we can, even going forward. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And if you have any questions, you can just, especially related to finance and all, especially since we are all freshers, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to answer whatever questions we have for you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kavita, for the wonderful opportunity. It was really nice to build interaction with all. Thank you very much. And it was very well planned, all these things. Very well planned. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ninad. Thank you once again, Namrata, Surekha, Nachiket, and Ninad. And we shall keep in touch. We will meet up. Yeah?
Sure. Okay, thank you so much.
You will leave the meeting. I have to be there till the time everyone leaves. So you will leave. There is no competition. You will leave the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kavita.
Thank you, Ramesh sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was a wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Shweta ma'am. Thank you so much. I think you are attending our session regularly.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm very interested and I'm very happy that you're sharing such a wonderful webinars with us because we are stationed at Kolhapur Lake Place.
Oh, you're from which college?
I'm from Saibu College, Kolhapur.
I'm seeing maximum representation from there.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Thank you so much for this initiative and platform, ma'am.